$3. That's the number for today. And I promise you, it is going to feel almost too small to matter, right up until it explains a feeling you've had 100 times and never once been able to put into words. You know the feeling. Let me paint it for you. Payday hits, and for 48 hours, life is good. Then, somewhere around week 2, without one single dramatic purchase, no shopping spree, no impulsive splurge, you're staring at your bank account thinking, how am I already tight again? And you didn't buy anything big. You'd remember that. No new phone, no spontaneous trip, no single moment you can point back and say, yeah, that's what did it. You just feel always a little broke. Not panic broke, just this low, constant hum of tightness that never fully explains itself. Welcome to the Debt Destroyer, where every lesson brings you one step closer to financial freedom. And today I'm going to show you exactly why that feeling happens using one single number, $3. So stay with me. This is going to hit closer to home than you're expecting. Trust me. Why this exact number is so dangerous. So let's get specific, because this is where it gets scary. Under $1, you generally don't buy that often. There just aren't many true $1 purchases left in the world anymore. Barely anything is priced there. Over $5, that crosses back into real spending territory in your brain. You notice it, at least a little, the same way you'd look at a $50 charge but scroll right past a $3 one. There's a small internal flinch that happens somewhere between $8 and $12 for most people. A little voice that asks, do I really need this? Even if the answer is still going to be yes. But $3? $3 sits in the exact sweet spot. Small enough to never trigger the flinch, common enough to happen multiple times a week without you ever clocking the pattern. It is the perfect blind spot hiding in plain sight, right between too rare to matter and too big to ignore. And here's the part I need you to really hear. This is not a moral failing. You're not bad with money. You're not careless. Your brain is doing exactly what brains are built to do. Conserve mental energy by not scrutinizing decisions that feel trivially small. If you ran a full cost-benefit analysis every time you grabbed a coffee, you'd torch your entire day's decision-making capacity before lunch. That instinct is smart. The problem isn't the shortcut. The problem is that the threshold for worth scrutinizing was set by your brain's sense of effort, not by your actual bank account balance. And those two things don't always agree, especially not month after month, tiny purchase after tiny purchase. So now let's do the math, and disclaimer, brace yourself, okay? Say you make 3 of these $3 purchases a day. A coffee, a snack, one small app, or a subscription charge that quietly renews without you even noticing. That's roughly $9 a day. Doesn't sound like much, right? Multiply it by 30 days. That's $270 a month. Now multiply that a year and you're staring down over $3,200 annually. Gone. Without a single purchase you'd actually remember making, even if someone sat you down and asked you to list them. Go ahead, try it. Name 5 specific under $3 purchases you made last month. Most people genuinely can't, not even 5. And yet the total of that exact category is sitting quietly in the thousands. That is not a rounding error. That is often more than what people manage to save in an entire year, while telling themselves they're pretty careful with money. The purchases feel invisible because each one is too small to remember. But the total is more than large enough to explain exactly why you feel perpetually, mysteriously short every single month, no matter how responsible your big decisions are. You could negotiate your rent, shop every sale, avoid impulse electronics, do everything the finance articles preach on the big stuff, and this pattern will still quietly undercut all of it, because it's operating in a category those articles almost never mention. Now, let me show you exactly how this plays out, because this part is going to stick with you. Alex and Priya made almost identical incomes, lived in similar apartments, and both would have told you honestly, I'm pretty average with money, nothing to worry about. No debt spiral, no dramatic overspending. If you looked at either of their bank accounts for anything over $20, you genuinely could not tell which one of them was doing better. Alex never tracked anything under $5. Too small to matter, he figured. And tracking every tiny purchase sounded exhausting, a little obsessive, the kind of thing only hyper-disciplined finance people do. He had a budgeting app, but well, it mostly just sat there. Priya, almost by accident, started using an app that auto-categorized every purchase. including the tiny ones she never would have bothered writing down herself. She wasn't trying to become a meticulous tracker. The app was just already sorting it. And one day, out of pure curiosity, she actually looked at the small purchases category instead of scrolling right past it like always. 3 months later, here's what she found. She was averaging just over $260 a month in purchases under $3. Coffees, snacks, a couple of small recurring app charges she'd genuinely forgotten she had. The kind that sneak in during a free trial and quietly renew forever until somebody notices. Nothing on that list felt significant on its own. Added together, it was bigger than her entire wants budget, across every other category combined. That genuinely surprised her. She didn't eliminate all of it. She wasn't trying to punish herself over coffee. She still enjoys it most days. But she did cancel 2 forgotten subscriptions buried in that list. One she couldn't even remember signing up for, and switched from daily coffee to 3 days a week. She redirected the rest, about $140 a month, straight into savings, without it ever feeling like a sacrifice. It felt more like closing a door she hadn't realized was wide open. Alex kept exactly the way he always had, still convinced his spending was under control, because nothing on his statement ever looked dramatic enough to be a red flag. 1 year later, Priya had an extra $1,680 saved, and she could point to exactly where every dollar came from. Alex had the same vague, a little tight feeling he'd had the year before, still unable to name a single purchase responsible for it, because no single purchase ever was. That's the entire trick of this category. It never shows up as one thing you can blame. It shows up as 100 things, each one too small to blame on its own. But here's the good news. The fix is not track every penny forever. Nobody sustains that. I wouldn't even recommend trying. That kind of hypervigilance burns people out in a few weeks and leaves them feeling worse about money than before they started. It's simpler than that, way simpler. For 1 month, let your under $3 purchases actually register. Not by handwriting every single one in a notebook. Just use whatever app or bank feature already auto-categorizes your spending, which most banking apps already do without you lifting a finger. Then, at the end of the month, actually look at the small purchases total. Once, that's it. Most people have never seen that number in isolation. It's always buried inside some bigger miscellaneous or shopping bucket nobody ever clicks into. And once you see it, you don't need willpower to feel differently about it. The number does the convincing for you. You're not forcing yourself to care, you're just finally seeing something that was there the entire time, quietly happening in the background month after month, invisible not because it was small in total, but because it was small in every individual moment. You don't have to eliminate small purchases. Coffee is not the enemy here. Neither is the occasional snack or treat. The real enemy is invisible spending. Spending that never gets weighed because it never felt big enough to weigh in the first place. Once it's visible, you get to decide what to do with it, on purpose, instead of it quietly happening to you one unnoticed $3 charge at a time for years without you ever once sitting down and choosing that outcome. So next time you grab something for $3 and change, that's fine. Genuinely, it is fine. Just know it's not nothing. It's one data point in a pattern that, multiplied by a year, is probably the actual answer to why you feel like you're always a little broke. Even when nothing in your statement ever looks like the obvious culprit. Even when, by every reasonable measure, you'd say you're pretty good with money. If this just explained the feeling you've had but never been able to name, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you want more videos that actually run the real numbers instead of repeating vague advice. And tell me in the comments, what's your under $3 purchase you didn't realize was adding up? I read every single one. This is the Dead Destroyer, and I'll see you in the next one.